Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Happy Friday. It is the Friday leading up to Super Bowl Sunday. I am so excited to be back doing shows. I've had about a couple of weeks off, and I'm ready to give you the sports content that you want to hear. Make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook. I do have my Facebook page back up and running. I do a lot of local content that you can listen to in Columbus, Georgia. I am on Sports Vision's 92.1 FM Mondays through Fridays from 6 to 9, along with Thrip Barringer and DJ Jones. And I'm also part of the Georgia Alabama Sports Live team, where we live stream local events in and around the Chattahoochee Valley. In fact, I will be on the road later this afternoon, headed to Americus, Georgia, while I will be broadcasting the Hardaway-Sumter County girls matchup for a region championship. So let's go ahead and dive right into the show. It's Super Bowl 60. It's going to take place on Sunday between the Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. I didn't think that this was going to be the Super Bowl matchup, but both teams had to get here, and the way they got here was fascinating. First of all, this is a rematch of Super Bowl 49. If anybody remembers that Super Bowl, Jermaine Kearse had an incredible catch. Russell Wilson throwing just a lob to him, and they were right at the goal line, and Russell Wilson gives it to Marshawn Lynch. He stopped at the 1-yard line, and the big controversy was, why didn't they run the ball with Marshawn Lynch? Because it looked like the Seattle Seahawks were going to win their second straight Super Bowl, and we possibly saw a potential dynasty. But that was not the case. Malcolm Butler was the hero for the New England Patriots, and he gave the Patriots their 5th Super Bowl. It was an incredible game. I remember seeing it, and I know that you could talk about the narratives in this game like, oh, this is a revenge game for the Seattle Seahawks. Well, none of the players that were playing on the Seahawks back in 2016, none of them were playing in this Super Bowl, back in 2015, rather. So it was 11 years ago. None of them were playing in this Super Bowl. And so you got a new crop of Seattle Seahawks that have looked fantastic. I mean, I'm not saying that their defense is the Legion of Boom, but the Seahawks defense is scary good when you got players like Devin Witherspoon and when you have Leonard Williams. I know that they don't have the leader at linebacker like a Bobby Wagner. He's now on the Commanders. But this was a team that went 10-7 last year, and they had Geno Smith, and you also have Sam Darnold coming into the fold. Now, Sam Darnold won 14 games with the Minnesota Vikings last year, but he has really made the difference. Jackson Smith and Jigba, he got Offensive Player of the Year. I'll get into about the NFL honors later in the show. But the Seahawks, who have been mediocre for the last couple of years, the Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll era, it left. Obviously, Russell Wilson gets traded to the Denver Broncos. And then you have a guy like Geno Smith coming in, back-to-back 9-8 seasons. They did make the playoffs, and they did lose in the wild card round, but you had a decade of consistency. They had that 7-10 year in 2021, but Russell Wilson was a great quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think that Seahawks fans forget what he has done for the city. And even though they did lose that Super Bowl 11 years ago, Marshawn Lynch was at the tail end of his career. He actually came back in a Seahawks uniform in 2019, which was incredible. But, they've had players like Thomas Rawls. You had Chris Carson. Rashad Penny turned out to be a bust. But I tell you what, Kenneth Walker has been outstanding. He rushed for over 1,000 yards. It's the play of Jackson Smith and Jigba that's been incredible. The Seahawks never really had a number one wide receiver. I don't consider Doug Baldwin or Golden Tate or Jermaine Kearse, I don't consider these receivers number one receivers. They had Tyler Lockett. They had DK Metcalf. Yeah, DK Metcalf was a number one, but there was a lot of question marks when he got sent to the Steelers. And then they get Cooper Kupp, a veteran receiver who is still got some gas in the tank. Cooper Kupp can get like 10 receptions. Like, this was a guy that was a difference maker for the Rams when they won that Super Bowl. So I think that the Seahawks, which are a 4.5-point favorite, can win this Super Bowl to win their second Super Bowl. And that'd be great for the city of Seattle. But I think that the Seahawks are just a very well-run organization with Dan Schneider, who's really been the catalyst for the general manager position for the Seattle Seahawks. I honestly think Michael McDonald, in his second year, he could be another one of those great head coaches under the age of 40 that could end up winning a Super Bowl. Now for the New England Patriots, because I honestly think that the New England Patriots, you thought the dynasty was over when Tom Brady left the Patriots in 2020. And that's not the case. Obviously, they're not the dominant dynasty they were for 2 decades, but they do have an upside. I do think that the New England Patriots under Mike Vrabel, who won Coach of the Year, I don't understand why the Tennessee Titans got rid of Mike Vrabel. And when you fire a guy like Gerard Mayo, who was a one-and-done coach, you go get an upgrade. You get the coach that's out there on the market. And what can you say about Josh McDaniels, who's now coordinating in his 10th Super Bowl? It is incredible. They hit a home run with Drake May. Obviously, he has just been a difference maker for the New England Patriots. 31 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He'd had a great season. How about Travion Henderson from Ohio State? Yeah, go get another incredible player, skill player from Ohio State, and that's what you got. You got Stephon Diggs, who, he's bounced around the league. He was on the Vikings, he was on the Bills, he was on the Texans, and he received for over 1,000 yards. But Hunter Henry, reliable tight end. It's not about the offense. By the way, Austin Hooper playing in another Super Bowl. Remember, he played with Atlanta. It's not about the offense. It's about that defense. That defense has been scary good. Harold Landry leading the way with 8.5 sacks. You've got just the heavy hitters. I mean, K'Von Chasen, Milton Williams, who was with the Eagles. Now he has a chance to win another Super Bowl. And I also think it's pretty impressive that the New England Patriots are doing it the Patriot way. And say what you want about the easy schedule. Yeah, they did have an easy schedule. I'll get you there. But the New England Patriots are here once again in the Super Bowl, and they got a chance to win their 7th Super Bowl. How impressive would it be if the New England Patriots were able to win a Super Bowl without Brady and Belichick? That'd be pretty impressive, right? I cannot wait for the Super Bowl. Levi's Stadium. I'm excited. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to watch it. I'm not a big fan of Bad Bunny. I'm not going to watch the halftime show. I'll watch the commercials. I may watch the commercials later, like on YouTube or something. But I know that this really puts a bow on the football season, and people start wondering, okay, once football season is done, sports starts to slow down. Well, some people are just football fans. And so when the football season transitions to baseball season and basketball season, we got a lot of sports going on, including the opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics, which is happening, I believe, in Milan. I know that Cortino is where they're having the mountain events. And the Olympics are already underway. I'm interested to see the United States in hockey. They've got the NHL players back. How effective will Lindsey Vonn be in the alpine skiing? I know that she's recovering from that ACL injury. You need stars in the Olympics. That's why I think it's important that you feature a skier like Lindsey Vonn. But yeah, right now we don't have anybody that's won any medals yet. I know the curling started off, the mixed doubles for the curling, as the United States ended up defeating Canada and Chechnya. And the women's hockey team for the U.S. is taking extra precautions because there's an outbreak for the norovirus. I have no idea what that is. But Milan Cortina, that's what they're calling it, the 2026 Olympics. When I have other shows, I'll have the medal count. I'm interested to see what happens here. But yeah, the Olympics is here.
Now let's talk about the National Basketball Association. We did have the NBA trade deadline that just passed, and I'll tell you what, the Atlanta Hawks getting a big win over the Utah Jazz as they defeated them 121-119. They are 26-27 overall in the Eastern Conference. They are currently ninth for that play-in spot. Just a couple games out, possibly could get that sixth spot because nobody wants to see the Hawks in the play-in tournament once again. They would end up playing the Hornets, which that's who they play next. But the new look Hawks gave up on Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, he played only like 16 games. That was not where the Hawks wanted to be. Trading Trae Young to Washington, but getting veteran guards like C.J. McCollum, getting Corey Kispert. But recently, they ended up getting a guy by the name of Jacques Landale from the Utah Jazz as part of the Lonzo Ball trade. And not too shabby. In his Hawks debut, he just happened to score 26 points. Now, he was starting in position of the injured center, Onyeka Okongwu. But the Atlanta Hawks, Jalen Johnson, who's their lone all-star representative, had a pretty good game, 22 points and 16 rebounds. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's been the free agent signee of the offseason, had 23 points. I'm disappointed with the overall number one pick from last year, Zachary Rizachet. I want to see more. He's averaging a little over 10 points a game. But once they get Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield, I think that the Atlanta Hawks will have their nucleus, and they could do something. I think they could do something in this Eastern Conference, especially since it's wide open. Do you trust the Detroit Pistons to get to the NBA Finals? I mean, they don't really have a whole bunch of stars. What's Boston going to look like when Jason Tatum comes back? I think that my sleeper team is definitely the New York Knicks. They went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They have a new coach. I wasn't a fan of them getting rid of Tom Thibodeau, but Mike Brown is a formidable coach. Right now, they would be the number 2 seed. Boston would be the 3 seed. So Detroit's got the best record in the Eastern Conference. Cleveland right there at the 4 seed. And Toronto, the 5th seed. I mean, Toronto's having a fantastic year. I don't know where that came out of. I expected Philly to be good because of VJ Edgecombe, because of Paul George, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey. They've got some good pieces. And then I think that the Hawks can find a way to leapfrog Miami and Orlando to maybe pass Philadelphia to get that 6th seed. I think they want to be in that spot, maybe that 6th spot, the 5th spot, because I think the Hawks are capable of beating any one of these teams, but they're going to have to do it on the road. Meanwhile, over in the Western Conference, Oklahoma City, OKC, as you like to call it, the defending champs. Obviously, they got the best record in all of basketball. San Antonio, with Wemby, I mean, he's just coming on his own, and they have great pieces like De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle. They're doing it the Spurs way. The Denver Nuggets, obviously, anytime you got a team with Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, they're always going to be good. Houston with KD, a little bit down this year. Lakers trying to still figure out LeBron and Luka, how they're going to be playing with each other, because right now they are in the 5th place. They would be the 5 seed. Minnesota, I always expected more out of Minnesota, especially when they got to the Western Conference Finals. They did lose to Dallas, but they're right now would be the 6th seed. Phoenix, Golden State, which I thought that Golden State getting a guy like Kristaps Porzingis, if he's healthy, this is a pretty good move. And I'm shocked that teams like the Portland Trailblazers would be in the play-in game. They don't even have Scoot Henderson. He's been out for the year. I don't know when he's going to come back. Clippers ended up trading away James Harden. I thought maybe the Clippers would be selling on this team. So there's a lot to grasp when it comes to the NBA. And next 2 weeks, on the 15th, we'll have the NBA All-Star Game, which will be the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles. I do look forward to the Celebrity All-Star Game, the three-point shootout, the slam dunk competition, even though Mac McClung's not going to be in it. And I look forward to the skills competition. And they have a unique format this year with the All-Star Game. It is USA versus the world, but it's not one team USA. They got 2 different teams. They got Team Stars and Team Stripes. They're going to be in a round-robin tournament taking on the world. So it's going to be pretty cool. And I want to see how that goes. And let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, I'm going to talk college basketball. It's time for Bracketology 101. Who's on the bubble? Is Georgia on the bubble? Can they make the NCAA tournament in back-to-back years? They have not done that since the Jim Herrick years in early 2000s. You don't want to go anywhere. It's the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge, and we'll be right back after this. And welcome back to the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. It's time for Bracketology. College basketball, we got the University of Georgia right now 16-6. Remember, a couple weeks ago, they looked like they were going to be a lock to make the NCAA tournament. I think they're on the bubble now. I don't know if they made Joe Lunardi's bubble team that's like the first team out. I'm going to check the bracketology in just a minute, but I want to talk about the progression of Georgia. Mike White, who's in his fourth year, they have not had a losing record. Remember, 2022 was atrocious. Tom Crean only won 6 games. But the University of Georgia, they made the tournament last year. Remember, they were a 9 seed. They lost to Gonzaga. In 2015, they were a 10 seed. They ended up losing to Michigan State. 2011, they were a 10 seed. They ended up losing to Washington. As I think that's what happened. I'm just going off of memory. Hang on one second. Yeah, 2011. I kind of remember that team a little bit. Well, first of all, Mark Fox had no business losing his job. Yeah, they lost to Washington in 2011. They did lose to Michigan State in 2015. 2008, that was the Miracle 3 year with Dennis Felton. So 4 times they've made the NCAA tournament in the last 25 years. The last time they were back-to-back appearances in the NCAA tournament was in 2002 and 2001. Incredible. That was the Jim Herrick years. Remember, they were a 3rd seed. They got those wins vacated because of some cheating scandal, but they were a 3rd seed. They lost in the 2nd round of the tournament, and they lost in the 1st round the year before as an 8th seed. They've had some success in the 90s. I will give you that. They did go to the Elite 8, lost to Syracuse in the Elite 8 under Tubby Smith. And legendary coach Hugh Durham stepped down in 1995. I mean, they've had 1st-round exits, lost in the 2nd round in 85. And, of course, Hugh Durham took them to the Final Four in 1983 when they had players like Vern Fleming and Terry Fair. This was the year after Dominique Wilkins left for the NBA. So I love Georgia basketball. I've never been to Stegman Coliseum. I want to go. I think that's a bucket list thing for me, is to go see the University of Georgia play, and they have got a chance to do something that they have not done in over 25 years, make the NCAA tournament in back-to-back years. Meanwhile, Georgia Tech is struggling. I don't know if Damian Stoudemire is going to end up keeping his job, because they are on the brink of missing out completely on the NCAA tournament. And that's too bad, because when I think of Georgia Tech, I think of high-quality basketball. I like to nickname it Point Guard U, because all the great point guards that came out of Georgia Tech, to include Mark Price, Travis Best, Stephon Marbury, the list goes on and on. I mean, they've had a great run, including getting to the Elite 8 in 1985 with John Sally and Mark Price, and the legendary coach Bobby Crimmins. But they have fell on hard times ever since they went to the national championship in 2004 and lost to that UConn team with Emeka Okafor and Ben Gordon. Georgia Tech has not had a whole lot of success. They last made the NCAA tournament in 2021 when they were a 9 seed and lost to Loyola Chicago. Before that, they got to the second round in 2010. That was a team that had Iman Shumpert and Glenn Rice, Darius Favors. That was a pretty good team. They lost to Ohio State there in 2010. And they went to the tournament in 2007, 2005, and obviously 2004. Paul Hewitt had so much success. They gave him an extension. Brian Gregory, he wasn't getting it done. He was out as coach after 5 years, not making it to the tournament. Josh Pastner came in. Josh Pastner has been was their coach for 7 years, and now Damian Stoudemire. He's in his third year, 14-8, 17-7, and 11-12. That is not going to get it done. They are 2-8 in the ACC. I don't know if he gets a fourth year because they didn't. They let Brian Gregory stick around until his fifth year, and they let him go. But I'm not 100% sure if Damian Stoudemire is going to keep his job. All right, let's take a look at Bracketology 101 because Joe Lenardi has got some of the top seeds. Let's take a look at that projected field of 68. He predicts that Arizona is going to be the top overall seed. That's a pretty good pick. Arizona has not won a tournament, not won the championship since 1997. Remember the team with Miles Simon and Mike Bibby? Yeah, I know all about that. Here's your number one seeds according to Joe Lenardi. We got Michigan. Let's see. We've got UConn and Duke. It's pretty good number one seeds. Okay. Here are the teams that he's projected to get the last 4 byes. Usually these are the teams that are 10 seeds. St. Mary's, Georgia. Hey, they are considered a bubble team, but they are in the tournament right now, according to Joe Lenardi. UCLA and USC. The last 4 in. These usually are the teams that are that 11th seed that will have that play-in game on Tuesday before the whole field of 64 plays on that Thursday. Miami, Texas, New Mexico, and Ohio State. First 4 out. These will be the number one seeds in the NIT. Cal, San Diego State, Virginia Tech, and Oklahoma State. The next 4 out. Number 2 seeds in the NIT, Seton Hall, Missouri, TCU, and Baylor. And of course, this will change periodically. And I'm not saying that a team like Georgia is a lock to get in. I think that the magic number is to get to 20 wins. If they get to 20 wins, I think Georgia will be a lock to make the NCAA tournament. Remember, the SEC had 14 teams make the tournament last year. They had 4 teams in the Elite 8. That is incredible. And I still think that the SEC is the best conference in college basketball. Say what you want. Arizona is the best team. They're out of the Big 12. We know that the Big 12 has powerhouses like Kansas and Texas Tech. Michigan out of the Big 10. With UCLA and USC being down in basketball, that's really not helping their case. Same with Washington and Oregon. They're adding all these Pac-12 teams coming over to the Big 10 for football. It's not really helping them in basketball. But I do expect Michigan is going to be a top seed. I forgot about Iowa State. Iowa State's another Big 12 powerhouse. But I cannot wait until Selection Sunday. I cannot wait to fill out a bracket. I usually get that bracket busted after the first week. But, the defending champions are Florida. And I think that we may have a new champion. Maybe it could be a team like Arizona or Michigan, which a long drought of winning championships. Arizona has not won a championship since 1997. Michigan has not won a championship since 1989 when Steve Fisher was the interim coach. I tell you, a lot to digest. I'm excited about March Madness. I'm also excited because we are 4 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training. And I'm also a fan of the World Baseball Classic. We got that going on too. It's incredible.
The big question mark is, can the Los Angeles Dodgers three-peat? Yeah, we have not had a team three-peat since the New York Yankees won in 98, 99, and 2000. And the Los Angeles Dodgers getting more firepower by getting a guy by the name of Kyle Tucker. And now I know that their leader on the mound has retired, Clayton Kershaw. Happy trails to him. He's going to ride off in the sunset like he did last year coming in. But there's a reason why the Dodgers are the best well-run organization in all of Major League Baseball. It's not the big-time contract guys like Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Shohei Ohtani. It's the guys like Miguel Rojas, the guys like Will Smith, Tommy Edman. These guys, they do all the dirty work. Teoscar Hernandez. I mean, are you kidding me? These guys are incredible, and they don't get paid that much. There's a reason why the Miami Heat won the 2 championships they did. It wasn't because of the big 3. It was because guys like Shane Battier, Mike Miller, Ray Allen would take less money to play for a winning organization. And I think guys like Will Smith and Tommy Edman and Miguel Rojas, they know what it takes to be a part of a winning organization. Last year, when you got a guy like Dustin May who was hurt, but they still had Tyler Glasnow and Yamamoto, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Shohei Ohtani's coming back, and he's going to be a full-time starting pitcher. Why not the Dodgers again for a 3rd consecutive World Series? They've been the standard. They've been the team of this decade, and I would expect nothing less than the Dodgers to get back to the World Series. All right, let's go ahead and transition to the Braves. Now, the Atlanta Braves, in a tough NL East with the Phillies and the Mets, they finished 4th place last year, went 76 and 86. Look, they were decimated by injuries. But now you got Walt Weiss. He is the new manager. You got a Braves organization, when healthy, when you got a guy like Spencer Strider and Chris Sale and Spencer Schwellenbach, you've got a pretty good starting rotation. As far as the closers, I mean, they've had Raisel Iglesias, they've had Dylan Lee. I mean, it's really been closer by committee. I'm interested to see how this roster is going to fill out, as Ha-Seong Kim is going to be out for 4 months. That's a devastating injury because he came out as of late and was a very good shortstop for the Atlanta Braves. Drake Baldwin ends up winning Rookie of the Year. I think that he is going to be the catcher of the future. He hit 19 home runs last year. I want to see Austin Riley improve. I want to see Michael Harris continue to have a big year. Ronald Acuna Jr., he is coming back from that injury. And I think that Ronald Acuna Jr. with a full season, the Braves are going to be a dangerous team. I'm interested to see how it goes. But with that being said, yes, we are 4 days away from pitchers and catchers reporting, and that is a great feeling. Some of the other teams to look out for, obviously the Blue Jays are still going to be strong. The Yankees, always going to be strong. The Red Sox, I mean, that AL East is going to be a very top-heavy team, friendly league right there, as I'm stumbling with my words. And I tell you what, I love baseball, and I'm excited that it's here. I'm excited I get to do local sports talk radio in Columbus because we got the Columbus Cleanstones. And I want to plug a podcast because there's a podcast out there that's dedicated to the Columbus Cleanstones. It's called Stonercast. Ricky Rogers has founded it, and they're in year 2, and you can catch episodes. I can't wait. The season starts April the 3rd against the Chattanooga Lookouts at Synovus Park. Well, this has been a fun show, but we have hit the 30-minute mark for the show. I want to do this show for about 30 minutes, and I want to try to do the show once a week, sometimes even twice a week. But this show has really evolved. It was just on podcast only, Apple Podcasts. It was an audio only show. I used to have guests on. I used to be part of a radio station, Afternoon Drive on WQEE, just outside of Atlanta in Noonan. But I've been truly blessed. I've been able to do other projects. I love what I do. Thank you for watching the show. Make sure you like us on Facebook and subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can also listen to the show
on Apple and Spotify. All right, have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We will see you next time.